So I was at Target last weekend. Not for anything special, just needed toothpaste and maybe some socks. 20 minutes later, I'm walking out with a cart full of stuff I didn't plan to buy. A candle that smelled like autumn sophistication, whatever that means. A throw pillow. A wine opener even though I already have 3 at home. And here's the weird part. On my way to the car, I walked past this guy loading groceries into a beat-up 2009 Honda Civic. Paint was fading, bumper had a dent. And for a split second, I'm being honest here, I felt better than him? Like somehow my newer car in the parking lot meant something about who I am as a person. Then I caught myself, and I thought, what is wrong with me? That guy could be a millionaire. That guy could own the building I rent my apartment in. That guy could be completely debt-free while I'm still paying off a car that loses value every single day. But my brain, my stupid, broken brain, saw an old car and made a judgment. And that's when it hit me. That split-second feeling, that tiny moment of comparison, that's not just a thought. That's a tax, and I've been paying it my entire adult life without even knowing it. Today we're going to talk about something I call the keeping up tax. It's not on any IRS form. No accountant will warn you about it. But I promise you, if you're watching this, you're probably paying it right now. And it might be the single biggest expense in your entire financial life. Now here's what most people think. They think the problem is overspending. Just stop buying stuff, right? Make a budget, stick to it, problem solved. Maybe download one of those apps that yells at you when you spend too much on coffee. But that's not it. That's like telling someone with a broken leg to just walk it off. The spending isn't the disease. The spending is the symptom. And until you understand what's actually happening in your head, and more importantly, what's happening in the economy around you, you're going to keep bleeding money no matter how many budget spreadsheets you make. Look, I'm not here to tell you what to invest in or which stocks to buy. This isn't financial advice, and I'm not your advisor. But what I am going to do is show you exactly how this invisible tax works, who's collecting it, and why the people who actually have money almost never pay it. I'm Blake, by the way. And if this kind of honest, no-fluff breakdown of how money really works is something you want more of, stick around, hit subscribe, because I'm just getting started. And trust me, you're going to want to see where this goes. All right, let's do some math that's going to make you uncomfortable. Think about the car you drive right now, or the car you want to drive. The average new car payment in America is $726 a month. That's not a typo. $726 every single month. Now let's say you could be perfectly happy, truly, genuinely happy, driving a reliable used car with a payment of $200 a month, maybe $300. The difference? Let's call it $500 a month that you're paying purely for what exactly? Status? The new car smell? The feeling when you pull up somewhere? $500 a month is $6,000 a year. Over 10 years, that's $60,000. But wait, if you invested that difference instead, at a pretty average market return, you're looking at something closer to $100,000. $100,000. Gone. Not because you needed a better car, but because you needed people to think you could afford one. And that's just the car. Let's talk about where you live. The zip code tax is brutal. People stretch their budgets to breaking point just to live in the right neighborhood. Not because the schools are better. Sometimes they're not. Not because it's safer. Often the crime stats are similar. But because of the address, the vibe, what it says about you when you tell someone where you live. I know people paying an extra $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month in rent or mortgage just to be in a certain area code. That's $12,000 to $24,000 a year. For what? So when someone asks where you live, you can see their eyebrows go up slightly. Then there's the wardrobe, the vacations that have to look good on Instagram, the kids' birthday parties that turned into production events, the gadgets, the watches, the bags, the shoes. Add it all up, and the average American household is spending somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 a year on pure status signaling. That's not my opinion. That's what the numbers show when you actually break down where the money goes. $50,000 a year. That's more than a lot of people make in total, and it's going straight into a black hole of other people's opinions. Here's where it gets interesting, though, and honestly, a little bit depressing. You're not stupid. I'm not stupid. So why do we keep doing this? There's this thing called social comparison theory. A psychologist named Leon Festinger came up with it back in the 50s. Basically, humans are hardwired to evaluate ourselves by looking at other humans. It's not a choice. It's not a character flaw. It's literally how our brains are built. For most of human history, this was fine. You lived in a village with maybe 100 people. You compared yourself to the blacksmith, the farmer, the guy who was really good at hunting. The range was limited. Everyone was more or less in the same boat. Now? Now you wake up and within 30 seconds you're looking at a phone showing you highlight reels from 8 billion people. Influencers on yachts. That guy from high school who apparently became a crypto millionaire. Your cousin's new kitchen renovation. A stranger's vacation in Bali. Your brain wasn't built for this. It's like trying to run modern software on a computer from 1985. The system crashes. And when your comparison software crashes, it defaults to one setting: spend money to keep up. And here's the cruel part. There's something called the hedonic treadmill. You buy the nice thing. You feel good for a minute. Then it becomes normal. Then you need the next nice thing. Then that becomes normal. Forever. The treadmill never stops. You never arrive. That BMW you thought would make you happy? Give it 6 months. It's just your car. Now you're looking at the Mercedes the next guy is driving. So you're not fighting your own weakness here. You're fighting 200,000 years of evolutionary programming plus a $500 billion advertising industry that knows exactly which buttons to push. The game is rigged. But, and this is important, you can stop playing. Let me tell you about my neighbor. We'll call him Dan. Dan drives a truck that's at least 12 years old. His clothes are nothing special. Plain t-shirts, jeans, work boots. He mows his own lawn. Never seen him at any of the fancy restaurants around here. For the first year I lived next to Dan, I made assumptions. You know the kind. I figured he was probably struggling, maybe living paycheck to paycheck, maybe going through a tough time. Then one day we're talking over the fence, and somehow the topic of retirement comes up. And Dan casually mentions that he retired at 52. He's 61 now, hasn't worked in almost a decade, owns his house outright, owns 2 rental properties, has enough invested that he basically never has to worry about money again. I almost dropped my drink. Dan doesn't pay the keeping up tax. Never has. He figured out early that the whole game was a scam, so he just didn't play. While everyone around him was upgrading and flexing and posting, Dan was quietly buying assets and building actual wealth. And you know what? Nobody knew. Nobody looked at Dan and thought, that guy's rich. But Dan had something none of the flashy people had. Options. Complete freedom. The ability to wake up every day and do whatever he wants. That's the real flex. Not the car, not the house, not the watch. The real flex is optionality. And here's the twist that should make you angry. The genuinely wealthy people, they almost never pay this tax. Warren Buffett still lives in the house he bought in 1958 for $31,000. Mark Zuckerberg drives a basic car and wears the same gray t-shirt every day. Sam Walton, the Walmart founder, who was at one point the richest man in America, drove an old pickup truck until the day he died. These aren't exceptions. Studies show that the majority of millionaires buy used cars. They live in normal neighborhoods. They don't wear logos. So who's paying the keeping up tax? Not the rich. The people trying to look rich. You're imitating what broke people think wealthy people do. Meanwhile, actual wealthy people are doing the opposite. It's like a costume party where everyone's dressed up as millionaires, but the actual millionaires showed up in jeans and a hoodie. Here's the part that really messes with my head. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 40% can't cover an unexpected $400 expense. The average credit card debt is over $6,000 per person. And yet somehow, everyone looks fine. Everyone's got the nice car in the parking lot. Everyone's got the Instagram vacations. Everyone seems like they're doing great. They're not. I call this the donut economy. Everyone looks glazed and shiny and sweet on the outside, but there's nothing in the middle. It's hollow. The entire system runs on people performing wealth to each other while drowning in debt. That coworker with the Rolex? Statistically, there's a 60% chance it's financed. That neighbor with the huge house? Almost half of homeowners in the upper middle class are house poor, meaning most of their income goes just to keep the house. That couple posting from the Maldives? Average millennial is carrying $8,000 in credit card debt. Everyone's faking it. And because everyone's faking it, you feel pressure to fake it too. It's a collective hallucination that's bankrupting an entire generation. So, what do? How do you opt out of a game that's designed to trap you? First thing, the 48-hour rule. No non-essential purchase without waiting 2 full days. Most impulse buys are emotional reactions. Give your brain time to calm down, and half the stuff you wanted to buy just doesn't matter anymore. Second, the 10-year test. Before you buy something, ask yourself, will this matter in 10 years? Will I even remember it? That dinner at the fancy restaurant? The latest phone upgrade when your current one works fine? 10 years from now, these things are invisible. But the money you didn't spend? That's very visible in your investment account. Third, track your net worth, not your lifestyle. Most people have no idea what they're actually worth. They know what they make. They know what they spend. But net worth, assets minus liabilities, that's the number that actually matters. And most people are terrified to calculate it because they know it's going to be ugly. Fourth, find your enough number. At what point would you have enough? Seriously, what's the number where you could stop worrying? Most people have never thought about this. They just assume more is always better. But if you don't define what enough looks like, you'll never get there. The goalpost will keep moving forever. Fifth, audit your circle. Who are you spending time with? Are they pulling you toward more spending or more building? This isn't about cutting off friends. It's about being honest with yourself about the influences in your life. Look, I'm not going to pretend this is easy. It's not. You're fighting biology, you're fighting advertising, you're fighting social pressure. Some days, you're going to lose. But here's what I know for sure. Every dollar you don't spend on impressing people is a dollar that can work for you. Every status symbol you skip is a piece of actual freedom you're buying instead. Every time you resist the keeping up tax, you're getting closer to the life that actually matters. Let me paint you 2 pictures. Picture 1, you're 60 years old. You've got the nice house, the nice car, the closet full of stuff. But you've also got a mortgage that won't be paid off for another decade, credit card balances, a retirement account that's not quite enough. You're still working because you have to, every day, because the machine needs to be fed. Picture 2, you're 60 years old. Your car is old, but it runs fine. Your house is modest, but it's paid off. Your closet is minimal, but your investment accounts could sustain you for the rest of your life. You work if you want to, when you want to, on things that actually matter to you. You wake up with options. Same income over a lifetime, completely different outcomes. The only difference is the tax, the keeping up tax. That one person paid and the other refused. Here's the thing I've realized. The biggest flex in 2024 isn't what you drive. It's not where you live. It's not what you wear or where you vacation. The biggest flex is walking into work on Monday morning knowing you don't have to be there, that you're choosing to be there, that if everything went sideways tomorrow, you'd be fine, that you have options. Nobody can see that flex. There's no logo for it. You can't post it on Instagram, but you feel it every single day. That quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're not a slave to the machine, that you own your life instead of renting it. That's what freedom actually looks like, and it doesn't cost $50,000 a year. It's built by not spending that $50,000 a year. The choice is yours. Keep paying the tax. Keep performing wealth for an audience that doesn't actually care about you. Keep running on the treadmill that never ends. Or stop. Opt out. Start building something real. I know which one I'm choosing. See you in the next one.